All right, guys, welcome to a new episode review of Tales. This is episode 4, and this episode was over Dr. Dre's Deep Cover. So in this episode, we had Mac Wilds, or Tristan Mac Wilds, whatever. He is a singer, rapper, actor, pretty much does it all, and a few other people, but I'm not sure that you would know them like by name. So anyways, let's get into the episode. So in this episode, his name was Chiron, and his uncle's name was Uncle Dougie. So just remember these people. So basically we start off, it's Tristan's birthday, or Chiron's birthday. He's about to turn 30. His uncle is a drug dealer, because I don't really know if there's like any other storyline in Tales, but whatever. But he's a drug dealer, and he's like this big drug dealer in Atlanta, and Chiron wants to get into the business, and he wants to take over and, have more of a role. But his uncle is like, yo, I don't know if you're really ready, but he wants to test him, and he sets him up on a meeting with this new Russian guy who sold drugs in Florida and is coming up to Atlanta. So now they want to meet and kind of figure things out. It's like his big test to see if he's ready for the next level type thing. So anyways, we kind of meet his little family, Chiron's little family, or Mac Wild's family. He's got a wife and a son, and they're living in this really nice place, which turns out his uncle is paying for. So, while we're meeting the family, he's kind of explaining to his girl what's going on and what kind of opportunity his uncle gave him, to meet this new man and try to close this deal or whatever. So while they're there, one of his uncle's associates, I guess you can call it, J-Rod, comes to check up on him and is like, apparently they don't like each other. They have like this weird relationship, which you could obviously tell, but he's like, yo, I just came to check on you, make sure you don't mess things up, and there's just a lot of tension there. His girl obviously don't like him. Yeah, so then we move on. So now Chiron has a job to do. He's got to meet with this guy, the Russian guy, and kind of close the deal. So in this meeting, can't really tell like if it's going good or bad. I don't know, but he's offering him things and opportunities and more money to this guy, the Russian dude. And, he kind of closes the deal. So we think, and it's fine, right? Everything was good. Okay, so then we get to his birthday party. It's later that day. He's turned 30, everybody's here to celebrate. This random man, this random bald-head man, he comes by and he's like, hey, happy birthday. And his girl was just kind of like, who is this dude? And then he kind of just brushes it off like, oh, it's just one of my uncle's associates, right? So this is my thing. I don't know if his girl got something going on or what, but something is weird about this, right? But anyway, so we just move on to the party. Well, his Uncle Dougie comes to the party. He is not happy with the way that he handled the thing with the Russian man, because he offered him all this money and all this opportunity that he was like, no, that's not what we said. We said, tell him this, not that. But, he thought he was going to be superhero there and make a whole new decision, and his uncle was not having it. So basically the uncle kind of like killed the vibe. Everybody's upset. And then we fast forward to he's at home, he's mad. His girl is just like, look, you should have listened to what he said. And I was like, oh, she's kind of rude. But, I'm like, I still don't know how I feel about her. Like, maybe something is going on. Maybe she's got like some inside here. I don't know, but something was just weird. So anyways, Chiron is upset because he just feels like he should have his own opportunities, and he's gonna make them one way or the other. So basically Chiron is like, I need to make my own decisions and I need to make my own way. So he decides to go steal some of his uncle's people. Because, that makes all the sense in the world, right? So he meets up with one of these guys, and they're like talking business or whatever. And they come to an agreement. The guy's like, look, I'll, work for you or whatever. And in the process of this, he tells this dude like, hey, I know where they keep the better drugs than what they selling, right? So, he's feeling all good. He leaves a meeting with this dude, and he calls this girl like, hey, let's go to lunch. Let's do this, whatever. Well, on his way, he gets ambushed by these 3 men. They jump out of a van, and then they're like, hey, get out the car. They kind of basically kidnap him. And then they throw him in a warehouse. And guess who was one of those guys? The bald-headed man from the party. So turns out the man is an undercover cop, obviously. And then turns out that Gabriel, the boy that he was just talking to, trying to steal from his uncle and work with him, was working with the cops. So they heard everything he said, and now they basically want him to turn on his uncle and to snitch and just get him arrested, I guess. So, they're telling him all this stuff like, look, if you work for us, you'll be the new guy on top. We just want your uncle. We want this, we want that. So, of course, she's like, no, I can't. But then, of course, they start threatening the family. So he's like, all right, I'll think about it. So, of course, when they bring in the family, he agrees. And, he's basically agreed to be a snitch and rat out his uncle, which is crazy. I mean, I know his uncle's bad, but still, like, it's crazy. So, they beat him up in the process of like capturing him or whatever. So he goes to meet his uncle and J-Rod. They're at the place, whatever, where he got the drugs. He got beat up. Well, he lies and says like this guy beat him up that they know, one of their associates or whatever. And the uncle is just kind of like, something don't feel right about that, right? So then he goes home. He's talking to his girl and she's like, I agree. You need to get us out of this. You need to work with the police, basically. And I'm just kind of like, I don't know. I feel weird about her. I don't know why. I don't know if she did anything or if she's a part of this, but I just felt weird about her. So the uncle is obviously suspicious, and rightfully so, because the boy's acting weird. Well, he calls the guy that that his nephew said beat him up. And the guy was like, I ain't seen him in weeks. How would I beat him up? So then he starts putting two and two together. Obviously he's lying, and he's like, oh, he's snitching, right? So, we're thinking, of course he's snitching because he's just acting real funny, right? Yeah, he acted real funny. That's why he knows. So the cops set him up with a wire, and he has to wear the wire when he's with his uncle. So they're about to do this really like important, like, I don't know, drop or whatever. So he pops up in the car. We see him with the wire on, and he's about to walk in on his uncle, do all the things. Well, his uncle was like, nah, something ain't right. So he tells J-Rod as soon as he comes in here, shake him down, basically. So when he comes in, the thing, they rip off his shirt, everything, and he didn't have on the wire. So I'm like, what happened to the wire? He took it off, obviously. So then he's like, oh yeah, whatever. His uncle was like, yeah, we just need to make sure, like, this is an important thing. Just before they went to go meet the Russian man, that's what happened. So he was like, okay, he said, go clean yourself up. So when he went to the bathroom, his uncle was like, yeah, he's snitching. And turns out he like tried to swallow the wire, which is weird. So anyways, they go meet the Russian man. Basically, they come to an agreement. And then Chiron goes back to the police, and they're highly upset because he took off the wire. So now they're like, you have to do something, and you have to wear this wire, because if not, we're gonna kill you and your family. So when he goes to see the cops, they're like obviously upset because he wasn't wearing the wire. So then they're like, you got to do something, because if not, like, what's about to happen. So he's like, look, I know where they keep the drugs. I know where they keep the stuff. The secret stash, right? Not the regular stash, but the secret stash. So he goes to the secret stash, and of course the warehouse is empty because the uncle and J-Rod had already moved all the drugs because they were suspicious of him and knew he was, working with the police. So while he goes to this warehouse, of course his uncle is watching, and he saw him go in there, but he didn't stop him right then, but he knew something was going on, so he watched him, and sure enough, that's where he went to try to steal the drugs. So this is where it really got good, right? So they're at the house. He's tripping. Chiron is tripping because he's like, look, I gotta wear this wire. I gotta set up my own people, but I gotta save my family, right? So they're at the house, just regular normal day. His wife is making him breakfast or whatever. And then all of a sudden, like, the uncle just pops up at the back door. And it's like, first of all, you got too much going on. Because he just popped up and it was like really creepy. But he comes in, he acting normal, just asking questions about the wedding, the baby. And obviously they know something is up. his wife knows something is up, he knows something is up, and then their son starts crying. So when the son started crying, he was like, no, don't worry, I got it. So I was like, he better not hurt this child. Like, I'm not ready for the baby to get hurt over this. And I was really worried because I was like, they're not about to do this. Just don't hurt the child. So he went in there, he grabbed the kid, and he's holding the kid or whatever. And the wife is just telling her husband, like, if you don't get this straight, bruh, like, you're gonna have to do something because he's gonna kill all of us. But he was nice to the baby. Gave him $20, and then he was like, look, we gotta go. So he's talking to Chiron, and so they were going somewhere. We don't know where they were supposed to be going, but they're going somewhere together to handle some business. And now he's got the wire on now at this point. So he's got the wire on, they're in the car, they're talking about business, and the uncle turns the radio up, like full blast, and then starts yelling over the radio. Well, he did that because the cops couldn't hear if the radio was too loud, right? So they just turned it off. So, he's like, hey, I want to give you a chance, and I want you to handle the whole Russian guy and this whole new deal that they did. You're going to be in charge. It's going to be all you. So he's like, all right, cool, Unc, let's do it. So then they drive into this abandoned, like, old warehouse building, and it's just them two. So basically, Uncle Dougie has to handle his business. They get out the car, he grabs and puts the gun to the head, and it was like, give me the wire right now. And of course, he's like, okay, I'm sorry, Uncle, I'm sorry. So he's going, apologizing and whatever. He's using the wire, and they're going back and forth. He's like, I can't believe you do this to me. I'm your uncle, I'm your family. And he's like, I know, I'm sorry, they threatened me, blah, 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 blah. They're going back and forth. And, Chiron is like, I'm sorry, I should have never did it. I love you. We can get past this, whatever. So, obviously, we knew that was not like the end of it. So his uncle is like, you know what? The boy is crying. He's like, I'm sorry, doing whatever. So he goes, he gives his uncle a hug. He's like, I'm sorry, it's never gonna happen again. And then the uncle was like, you right, because all rats gotta die, I think is what he said. Basically, he stabs him in the back. And then little Chiron falls. And little Chiron is dead. So, we kind of expected that. Well, then the uncle, he starts walking and he's talking to somebody. And there's this van that we've seen before, and guess who hops out the van? The two police officers. Turns out Uncle Dougie is the real snitch here. So he knew all of this was going on. He in cahoots with the cops, giving them money. They know what's going on. So all of this was a big game. I tell you, I was like, really, Uncle? Really? So the uncle was the mastermind, really, behind all of it. That's why he knew the boy was a snitch, because he was one himself. So, they're having this issue, and the cops are like, well, you had more of a stash than we knew about, so we want more money. So he's like, no, I ain't giving y'all no more money. I haven't gave you enough money. So it's getting a little heated. They arguing, blah, blah, blah. The cops act like they're about to shoot Uncle Dougie, and then all of a sudden, cop number one, the bald man, gets shot. But who shot him? Uncle Dougie didn't shoot him. The other cop didn't shoot him. Turns out little Chiron ain't dead. He's still alive on the ground, and he shot the man. So when he shoots that cop, the other one is now the only one there with Dougie and Chiron. So he's like, oh nah, something about to happen. So he pulls out his gun, he shoots Uncle Dougie right in the head. He did. Then he shoots Chiron again. So Chiron is dead. So then out of the van comes another person. It's J-Rod. Now J-Rod apparently was working with the cops too to get Dougie, and now he's gonna be in charge because that cop is like, well, now you're in charge, 40%. And he's like, yeah, so he's gonna give the cop 40, he's gonna be in charge, all the money is out there, theirs, and then yay, happy endings, right? Or so we think. They're celebrating their newfound money and fame, and then two gunshots right in the forehead. The cop and J-Rod are now on the ground dead. And who did the shooting? Not K-Ron, his girl. And you know why? Because your girl is the best one on your team. That's why. Moral of the story is that's who you need to be rolling with. But anyways, so turns out K-Ron isn't dead. He got on a vest. So K-Ron got like 9 lives. He got stabbed, he got shot, but he's still alive. And now all of it is his and his girl. So now they're good. And end of story. Everybody dead but K-Ron and his wife and the baby. So yeah, the ending kind of got me. It was very twisted, but I liked it. Yeah, I wasn't expecting that at all. It was a very good twist because I thought she was like in cahoots with these other people, but no, she was riding for her man, like you know, like some people do. But yeah, so I mean, I liked the episode. Y'all tell me what was your favorite part. Please get in these comments and let's talk about this episode or any other episode. Make sure you like and subscribe, and I will see you next week for another episode.